Further debate? I recognize the member from Humber River, Black Creek.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise as the official opposition critic for consumer protection and speak today to a government-private members' bill entitled Life Settlements and Loans Act, Bill 219. When we debate legislation here in this chamber, we have to ask ourselves some simple questions. Will it make things better for the majority of Ontarians without leaving vulnerable individuals behind, or even cause them harm? Has it been well thought out to determine this? This bill would allow seniors to obtain a quick cash payout in exchange for handing over their life insurance policy to a third party, often at a massive loss. Thus, the bill will allow predatory corporations to target seniors and defraud them of their life insurance benefit claims. I have many questions and concerns about this bill. It has far-reaching consequences, and I'm not convinced that this has been thoroughly considered. I wanted to recount a story that was told to me not too long ago regarding the secondary life insurance market, which is legal in the States, that this bill seeks to open up. Here is a quote from an economics professor in the States, which talks about the people who actively bought out the life insurance policies of seniors there and others during the AIDS crisis. Basically, and I quote, the trick was to find people who had given up, people who would die soon. The sooner you get the money, the higher your rate of return. I remember the guy distinctly, and he said, if you do enough, you can just look into their eyes and see who's giving up. Companies who make money on the secondary market do so by waiting for people to die. End quote. Life insurance is not always the most pleasant topic for us to talk about. When we take out a life insurance policy, we do it to protect our loved ones if something ever were to happen to them. It can provide us with peace of mind that if, God forbid, we lose our lives before our time, our families will be taken care of, and that they would not have to face any further financial burdens after we pass on. During this pandemic, a lot of people are struggling financially. Many have lost their jobs. Many others are struggling just to keep their businesses afloat. For some, selling their life insurance policy for a lump sum might seem like a viable option to help settle debts and cover any other immediate expenses today. But if we were to open up a secondary insurance market in order to allow this, as the bill the member put forward proposes, I have concerns, I have questions. We're creating an entire new class of potential financial predators here. Oftentimes in the United States, where this practice is legal, these companies will only offer to purchase your life insurance policy for only 30% of what your eventual death benefit is worth. This means that from the moment you sell these companies your life insurance policy, quite simply, they are waiting for you to die so they can collect the other 70%. This means that instead of this money going to your closest loved ones to help secure them financially upon your passing, it will add to the profits of a corporation who preyed upon you at a time when you were most vulnerable. Speaker, this bill will create monumental change within a private member's bill. It would create a whole new industry in this province that didn't exist before. We shouldn't rush into making such changes without extensive study. While this bill does give FSRA the power to regulate this new industry, industry associations like the Canadian Life and Health Insurance Association worry that the regulator may just not have the tools to be able to really do so. The CLHIA represents 99% of life insurance market in Canada. They told me that they believe this bill opens the door to fraud and abuse. There is a track record of fraud and abuse in the United States where such a secondary market has existed for some time. And more often than not, it is the seniors who are targets of this fraud. I'm sure probably every one of us on both sides of this chamber have received calls from constituents, many times seniors, who were tricked into signing contracts. A scam of this type would be devastating. And we've all heard about the damage that can be caused by payday lenders and types who prey in this type of financial business. I believe this bill requires more work due to the concerns I've listed. A lot is at stake here. Thank you.
Further debate? I recognize the member from Whitby.
Well, thank you, Speaker, and it's a pleasure to rise and speak on Bill 219, the Life Settlement and Loans Act. When you step back and you look at the content of this particular bill, what it really comes down to is choice. Speaker, choice. Now you don't have that choice in Ontario. In 42 U.S. states, they have it. Life settlements, you've got that choice. It's been that way since 1994. Here in Ontario, although, Speaker, for 80 years there's been a law on the books that denies seniors the right to that option. We know what happens to your life insurance policy now, Speaker. If you read the fine print in your life insurance policy, it tells you you've got two options. And one thing the insurance company will tell you is just walk away from it. Let it lapse. Even though you've paid premiums for 30 or 40 years into a life insurance policy, literally thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars maybe. You get zero of that life insurance policy. You walk away from it. So here you are. You bought this life insurance, you pay the premiums year after year, and you can't access the cash. In this bill, we're asking for a choice to be made, whereby you can have the option of selling it to a third party. There are markets that will buy these life insurance policies and they continue to pay the premiums for you, but they give you a value, 50% of the value, 60% of the value, depending on what the market is for it. Speaker, in my estimation, consumers deserve to have a choice. When it comes to their insurance options, as everything else in Ontario, they should be able to have a choice. I agree with many of the seniors' organizations, two of whom our sponsor of this bill spoke of. And I also agree that broader consultation should be undertaken with other seniors' organizations. Some of the members in the Assembly today will know that the Ministry of Seniors and Accessibility has a long-standing seniors advisory group. It's comprised of the 12 largest seniors organizations in Ontario. And taken together, they represent close to 400,000 seniors in our province. One of the groups is United Senior Citizens of Ontario, and they've already expressed their support to the bill. But I think that's where this bill should be consulted with again, is the Seniors Advisory Committee of the Ministry of Seniors and Accessibility, and the sponsor of the bill agrees that that's something that should be going forward. And in fact, the Minister for Seniors and Accessibility and his staff and the civil servants that support that ministry have reviewed the bill and agreed that there would be some value in taking it to that committee and eliciting their opinion as well. Speaker, there are huge and wonderful advantages for seniors to be able to capitalize on the money that they invested in their security when that security, for whatever the reason, is no longer necessary. And we've all heard individually, unfortunately, challenges that seniors encounter in some of their later years, having to access more money for home care for someone that they're trying to care for. At the end of the day, Speaker, I'm a strong believer in providing residents who we have the privilege of serving with the freedom to do what's right for them. And I don't think that's any different from any other MPP who's sitting here today and those who couldn't join us this afternoon, Speaker. I know you do for the people you represent in Oshawa. At the end of the day, this bill is about enhancing the quality of life. That's something we all aspire to, whether it's Whitby or any other riding. Affecting the quality of life of the people who we have the privilege of representing, and supporting the needs of those seniors who have built our communities here in the province. After all, Speaker, we only have one life to live. And I believe we should all live it as comfortably as we possibly can. Thank you, Speaker.
Further debate, I recognize the member from Davenport.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the member for Mississauga Lakeshore for introducing this bill. The bill we are debating this afternoon is Bill M219, Life Settlements and Loans Act. I'm pleased to speak on behalf of my constituents in Davenport about this bill. I think as our critic, the member for Humber River Black Creek mentioned already, we understand, I think, some of the sentiment here, but we cannot support the bill as it's currently written. To sum it up, essentially, people who seek out solutions like this are desperate, and we understand that. But they do it because they have no choice. We need to offer other alternatives. And here's why. because the experience with the life settlement industry in the United States has been that these measures help big multinational corporations to take money away from people who are more vulnerable, including, and in this case, it would mean Ontario families and particularly Ontario seniors. Government is supposed to protect people from being exploited financially, especially seniors. This bill would open the floodgates to American corporations looking to make quick cash off vulnerable older Ontarians who find themselves in a tight financial spot. It would have the effect of making people, again, usually seniors, vulnerable to financial exploitation by having them sell their life insurance policy at a loss to a third-party trafficker. There is no question that this bill would be a favor to, as I mentioned, the corporations that traffic in life settlements. The Canadian Life and Health Association says most of those, as I mentioned, are American businesses where this predatory practice has been largely legal. In fact, the truth is that in the United States, the life settlements game has been plagued by fraud and abuse. And if you just go online and do a quick Google search, you find that. You can find many, many, many unfortunate stories. Indeed, it's so bad that Ontario's financial services regulator went as far as to post a warning about trafficking life insurance offers on its website. I want to mention, Madam Speaker, some of the other names that these sort of life settlements have under the states, and they're a bit unfortunate, but I want to throw it out there. I mean, these are what are known sometimes as death bets, right? Death bets, death contracts. They involve the sale of an existing life insurance policy to an investor who then pays premiums and collects once the insured person dies. And it's a kind of grim situation, and I understand why there's this interest in trying to find alternatives for people who are desperate and seeking other alternatives. But it just this opens the door to, again, very serious concerns that we have about the potential for fraud and abuse. So as it's written now, we cannot support this legislation. It's only going to take allow those big corporations to take money away from Ontario families. We believe in protecting seniors, in helping them find even more financial stability in their golden years. Many policyholders already have legal, safe ways to access benefits during their lifetime. And, Madam Speaker, surely we can find other ways than death bets or life settlements that are, again, opening up seniors to potential fraud and abuse. We can surely find other ways to support people, and seniors in particular, who are struggling. Madam Speaker, again, I want to thank the member from Mississauga Lakeshore for having introduced this bill. It's an important conversation that we have. Certainly it's a big industry in the United States, and it's an important conversation as Ontarians to have about what we really envision as support for our seniors. How do we really ensure that people have the stability they need in their lives? I want to urge the members opposite, when they have the opportunity, to support Bill 196, introduced by the member for Kitchener Centre, which would create an independent seniors advocate within government. I think that would go a long way to helping protect our seniors. Thank you, Madam Speaker.